So I sent 10 songs through, and they was all finna be on my album because I didn't want nobody to steal my shit because I know how people move. So boom, the one they took a liking to was the intro. Now the intro still dropped. I said, no, you can't have this song. He wanted me on his album still. He said, I'm gonna send you a verse through. Never sent a verse. I didn't give a fuck till I just went and listened to Iceman, and I listened to Little Birdie, and then I went back and listened to the intro of my first album. Twin. That's the only beat I've ever produced and sat there and produced. Don't rip my shit and repitch it like that, fam. That's fried. That's fried out and fucked up.
Drake finally responded, and nobody expected him to respond like this. After days of social media chaos, non-stop accusations, side-by-side beat comparisons, and viral claims from 1900Rugrat accusing Drake of allegedly stealing his song concept and repitching his beat for Iceman, the silence coming from Drake's camp had people thinking the situation was about to spiral completely out of control. But then late last night, everything changed. Because according to fans online, Drake suddenly dropped a response that instantly sent Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, and hip-hop forums into absolute meltdown mode. Some people are calling it a calculated PR move. Others think it was a direct warning shot. And a few fans are convinced Drake accidentally made the situation even worse for himself. Now here's where this gets crazy. People expected Drake to flat out deny everything. Instead, what he allegedly said has the entire internet dissecting every word like it's a federal investigation. Fans are replaying clips, decoding captions, analyzing lyrics, and trying to figure out whether Drake quietly admitted more than he meant to. Meanwhile, 1900Rugrat supporters are saying the response proves Drake felt pressured after the backlash exploded across social media. Because remember, this wasn't just another random internet rumor anymore. This was turning into a full Drake has a pattern conversation. People started bringing up old controversies involving XXXTentacion, ghostwriting accusations, reference tracks, and past claims from smaller artists who felt their sounds were allegedly borrowed without proper credit. And now fans think Drake may finally be realizing this story isn't going away quietly. But trust me, the actual response wasn't even the wildest part. Because seconds after Drake's statement started spreading online, another shocking rumor surfaced involving behind-the-scenes communication between Drake's producers and 1900Rugrat before Iceman even dropped. And if those rumors are true, this situation may be way bigger than anybody thought. To really understand why the internet exploded the second Drake finally responded, you have to understand how this entire situation spiraled into one of the messiest hip-hop controversies of the year in the first place. Because this wasn't just some random SoundCloud rapper throwing accusations at a superstar for clout. That's what made people pay attention immediately. 1900Rugrat wasn't some completely unknown artist anymore. By the time this controversy happened, he had already become one of the fastest rising young rappers coming out of Florida. His name was buzzing everywhere online. Clips of his freestyles were going viral. Major blogs were posting him daily. Fans were calling him one of the rawest new artists in the underground scene. And ironically, one of the biggest reasons his career exploded so fast was because Drake himself had publicly shown him love before any of this drama started. That detail changed everything. Because according to fans online, this situation stopped feeling like big artist ignores small artist and started feeling like big artist allegedly betrayed someone he already knew personally. That's why emotions got so intense so quickly. Now, for people who missed the beginning of Rugrat's rise, his story already sounded like something straight out of a movie. Born and raised in a tiny Florida area with barely any opportunities, Rugrat built his entire following from almost nothing. Before music started paying off, he reportedly worked regular jobs, bounced between unstable situations, and spent years recording music with basic equipment while trying to survive. No giant industry machine, no celebrity parents, no rich connections, just internet hustle and raw energy. Fans connected to that instantly. And once clips of his aggressive freestyles and emotional delivery started spreading online, people began comparing his rise to the early SoundCloud era that created stars like XXXTentacion and other Florida artists who built cult followings from pure authenticity. That comparison mattered, because the Florida underground scene has always been protective of its artists. Fans there respect struggle stories, they respect authenticity. And they especially hate when they believe larger artists are taking from smaller creators without proper credit, which is exactly why this controversy exploded the way it did. Now, according to Rugrat's version of events, the situation actually started long before Iceman ever released. He claimed that sometime before his own project dropped, people connected to Drake's production circle allegedly reached out asking to hear unreleased material. And obviously, for a young artist still climbing in the industry, that kind of attention feels life-changing. Think about it. Drake isn't just another rapper. He's one of the biggest artists in music history. Getting contacted by his camp is the type of moment underground artists dream about for years. And at first, Rugrat genuinely seemed excited about it. According to his livestream explanation, he allegedly sent multiple unreleased tracks over for consideration. But there was one specific song he reportedly refused to give away because it meant too much personally. The intro. The beat he allegedly produced himself. The song that later opened his own project. That specific detail became the emotional center of the entire controversy. Because from Rugrat's perspective, this wasn't just about music anymore. It was about ownership, pride, trust, and respect. Now fast forward months later, Drake drops Iceman during one of the biggest rollouts of his career. Massive live stream, multiple albums, viral hype everywhere. Fans rushed online instantly to break down every lyric, every subliminal shot, every beat, every feature. And then Rugrat hears one specific track, Little Birdie. That's when everything exploded. According to Rugrat, the second he heard it, he immediately recognized similarities connected to the beat structure and production style of his intro track. And instead of staying quiet privately behind the scenes, he jumped online publicly and accused Drake of allegedly repitching and reworking the beat after previously being told he couldn't have it. That accusation spread like wildfire, especially because Rugrat sounded genuinely emotional while saying it. Not calculated, not polished, emotional. That mattered to viewers. People felt like they were watching a young artist react in real time after allegedly hearing his own creativity reflected back at him through one of the biggest stars on Earth. And once side-by-side comparisons started flooding TikTok and YouTube, the internet completely lost control of the narrative. Some fans immediately claimed the similarities were undeniable. Others argued people were reaching too hard. But regardless of which side people chose, one thing became impossible to ignore. The controversy was growing fast. Then came the bigger issue, because suddenly this stopped being only about one beat. Now social media started reopening years of accusations surrounding Drake's career. That's when things got dangerous. People brought back discussions involving Meek Mill and ghostwriting allegations from years earlier. Old reference tracks started circulating online again. Fans revisited debates involving The Weeknd, songwriting collaborations, and accusations that Drake has historically blurred the lines between inspiration, collaboration, and outright borrowing. But perhaps the biggest comparison came from the resurfacing Sextentation controversy. Hip-hop fans immediately connected Rugrat's accusations to old claims that Drake allegedly borrowed flows and cadences from X during the peak of the SoundCloud era. Whether people believed those accusations or not didn't even matter anymore. The internet had already built the narrative. Patter. That word started appearing everywhere online. And once people start calling something a pattern, public perception changes instantly. Now suddenly every old controversy gets stacked together into one giant storyline. That's exactly what happened here. The conversation became, did Drake take an inspiration? Did Drake cross the line? Does Drake intentionally scout younger artists for sounds? Is this industry collaboration or exploitation? And because Drake had just spent the last 2 years recovering publicly from the massive cultural impact of his battle against Kendrick Lamar, the timing could not have been worse. That's another huge reason this controversy exploded. People already viewed Iceman as Drake's comeback statement after the Kendrick situation damaged his image online. Fans expected dominance, confidence, redemption. Instead, within hours of release, one of the biggest trending topics connected to the album became accusations from a 21-year-old Florida artist claiming Drake stole from him. That's a PR nightmare. And Drake staying silent at first only made things more intense. Every hour without a response created more conspiracy theories, more side-by-side videos, more reaction channels, more TikTok breakdowns, more Reddit investigations. Fans analyzed production credits, interview timelines, old live streams, Instagram interactions. Even Drake reposting Rugrat months earlier suddenly looked suspicious to some people online. That's how fast internet narratives spiral in 2026. And then finally, After days of non-stop pressure, viral backlash, and millions of people debating the controversy online, Drake responded. But according to fans watching closely, his response may have created even more questions than answers. The moment Drake finally broke his silence, social media froze. Seriously. For almost 3 straight days, the internet had been treating the 1900Rugrat accusations like a live criminal investigation. TikTok creators were posting slowed-down beat comparisons. Reddit users were dissecting production layers second by second. Hip-hop Twitter was arguing non-stop about whether Drake had crossed the line or whether fans were simply reaching for another controversy after the Kendrick Lamar fallout. And through all of it, Drake said absolutely nothing. No tweet, no Instagram story, no cryptic caption, nothing. That silence started becoming suspicious to people online. Because usually when fake rumors spread around major celebrities, their teams deny everything immediately. But Drake's camp stayed quiet long enough for conspiracy theories to completely take over social media. Fans started saying, if it wasn't true, why not deny it instantly? That question spread everywhere. Then finally, late at night, Drake suddenly posted a cryptic message that instantly sent the internet into meltdown mode. According to screenshots circulating online, Drake allegedly posted, "Everybody inspired by something. Don't confuse influence with theft." That was it. One sentence. But that single sentence detonated social media instantly. Because instead of directly denying Rugrat's claims, fans felt like Drake had responded philosophically. And people immediately started dissecting why. Within minutes, hashtags connected to both Drake and 1900Rugrat started trending again. TikTok pages reposted the quote with dramatic music playing underneath. YouTube channels uploaded emergency live streams titled things like, "Drake just indirectly admitted it? Why didn't Drake deny the allegations?" Drake's response makes things worse. And honestly, the internet was completely divided. One side believed Drake's statement was perfectly reasonable. They argued all artists borrow inspiration from sounds around them and that hip-hop has always evolved through influence and reinterpretation. But the other side? They thought Drake accidentally exposed himself, because people immediately pointed out one very important detail. Drake never actually said the beat wasn't inspired by Rugrat. That technicality became the center of the controversy overnight. Suddenly fans were reposting old accusations involving Tentacion again. Old interviews resurfaced. Reference track debates returned. Entire Twitter threads appeared documenting previous moments where smaller artists accused Drake of allegedly borrowing flows, melodies, or aesthetics. The pattern conversation exploded harder than ever before, and then came the first massive twist. Because according to rumors spreading through industry blogs and Discord servers, people allegedly connected to production circles claimed there may have been additional communication between Drake's camp and Rugrat. After the original songs were sent, that changed everything. Because now people weren't only asking whether Drake heard the beat anymore. Now they were asking, how much contact actually happened behind the scenes? That question terrified Drake supporters online, especially after one leaked screenshot allegedly started circulating showing a producer account complimenting Rugrat's intro months before Iceman released. Nobody could fully verify whether the screenshot was real, edited, or completely fake, but by then it honestly didn't matter anymore. The internet had already chosen chaos. And once fake insiders started jumping into the story, things got completely out of control. One anonymous music page claimed Drake's team allegedly viewed the intro as too hard to pass up. Another rumor suggested producers had internally debated whether the similarities were noticeable enough for fans to catch. Again, absolutely, none of this was confirmed. But social media treated every rumor like courtroom evidence. That's the dangerous part about internet controversies now. Perception moves faster than facts. Meanwhile, 1900Rugrat wasn't backing down at all. In fact, according to fans watching his live streams closely, he looked even more frustrated after Drake's response went viral. Because from Rugrat's perspective, Drake still hadn't directly denied hearing the beat first. And then Rugrat allegedly said something that made the entire controversy even uglier. During a heated live stream clip spreading online, he reportedly told viewers, "You can't ask for something, get told no, then flip it different and act like it's yours." Boom. That line exploded everywhere. TikTok edits, Twitter debates, reaction videos, Instagram captions. Within hours, people were calling it one of the hardest anti-Drake statements from a smaller artist in years. And honestly, the timing couldn't have been worse for Drake. Because remember, this was supposed to be his redemption era. After months of jokes, memes, and non-stop discussions surrounding the Kendrick battle, Iceman was supposed to restore Drake's dominance publicly. The rollout was huge. 3 albums dropped together. Massive livestream event, viral visuals everywhere. But instead of the conversation focusing on the music itself, the internet became obsessed with one question. Did Drake steal from a 21-year-old Florida rapper? That narrative started overshadowing the rollout completely. And then came another twist nobody expected. Some fans started accusing Drake of strategically targeting underground artists with smaller leverage because they're easier to outpower publicly. Now that accusation spread like wildfire. People began revisiting old examples from Drake's career and connecting dots everywhere. Some argued Drake has always been plugged deeply into underground scenes and emerging regional sounds before they become mainstream. Normally, that's viewed as smart networking and trend awareness. But now critics were reframing it differently. Now they were calling it culture scavenging. That phrase started trending in hip-hop spaces fast. Fans argued Drake allegedly absorbs underground energy, aesthetics, slang, flows, and production styles before reintroducing them through his own massive platform. Again, supporters defended him heavily. But the damage was already spreading online. Then things got even messier. Because according to another rumor circulating late at night, some industry insiders allegedly believed lawyers were quietly monitoring the situations behind the scenes already. That rumor changed the mood instantly. Up until that point, most people treated the situation like internet drama. Now suddenly fans were discussing legal possibilities. Could Rugrat sue? Would credits get changed? Could settlements happen privately? Would producers get exposed? And perhaps most importantly, did Drake's camp already know this controversy was coming before the album released? That theory became massive online. Some people believed Drake's silence wasn't confusion. They believed it was strategy, especially because fans noticed something strange. None of the producers publicly addressed the allegations either. That silence became suspicious too. Meanwhile, major reaction channels started uploading side-by-side beat analyses, with dramatic titles claiming similarities were impossible to ignore. Music producers on TikTok began breaking down pitch changes, drum textures, transitions, and ambient sounds, trying to determine whether the beats were genuinely connected or whether listeners were forcing patterns onto unrelated music. The internet became completely obsessed, and then social media dragged another name into the mess, Kendrick Lamar, again. Because critics immediately started joking that Drake somehow escaped one reputation-damaging controversy only to walk directly into another 1 month later. Memes spread everywhere showing Kendrick laughing, while the Drake backlash intensified online. Some fans even claimed the Rugrat accusations reinforced Kendrick's previous criticisms about Drake's authenticity and cultural identity. That comparison made Drake supporters furious. Now entire fan bases were fighting nonstop online. Kendrick fans, Drake fans, Florida rap supporters, underground hip-hop purists, everybody was arguing. And through all the chaos, Drake still refused to address the allegations directly in detail. That silence became the biggest story of all, because the longer he avoided specifics, the more the internet filled in blanks itself. People started saying, if Drake was innocent, he'd clear this up instantly, others argued. Respond too much makes him look guilty. It became a no-win situation publicly. But perhaps the most damaging development came when fans started emotionally connecting with Rugrat himself. That's what made the controversy dangerous, because viewers didn't just see a random rapper anymore. They saw a young artist, an underdog, someone who looked betrayed, someone emotional, someone speaking directly without PR training. Meanwhile, Drake looked like the untouchable superstar at the center of another controversy involving artistic authenticity. An online perception always favors the emotional underdog, especially in hip-hop. Then came the final twist that pushed everything to another level. Late into the night, one music insider page claimed, allegedly, that more unreleased material connected to Rugrat and Drake's production circle might still exist privately. That rumor exploded instantly, because now fans started wondering, was this the only song, or just the only one Rugrat recognized publicly? And trust me, once the internet started asking that question, the entire controversy transformed from one accusation into something much bigger, much darker, and much harder for Drake to control. At this point, the entire internet was spiraling. What started as one emotional accusation from 1900Rugrat had now turned into a full-scale hip-hop war involving fan bases, producers, bloggers, reaction channels, industry insiders, and even people who normally don't care about rap drama at all. And somehow, it was getting worse by the hour for Drake. Because the second fans started believing there might be more unreleased material connected to the situation, social media transformed into detective headquarters overnight. Discord servers exploded. Reddit threads multiplied. TikTok creators began analyzing old livestream clips, frame by frame, looking for hints. People started digging through years of Drake interviews, trying to connect dots between previous controversies and this current one. And then came the reveal that completely changed the mood online. According to rumors spreading across music forums late at night, several users allegedly discovered that one of Drake's producers had been publicly interacting with Rugrat's music online long before the Iceman rollout ever began. Now technically, that alone wasn't proof of anything. But online, people treated it like a smoking gun, because suddenly the narrative shifted from, did Drake hear the beat, to how deeply connected was Drake's camp to Rugrat behind the scenes? That question exploded everywhere. Fans started reposting screenshots, old likes, reposted clips, and alleged producer interactions non-stop. Some people claimed the entire situation proved Drake's camp had been studying Rugrat's sound for months before the controversy surfaced publicly. Again, no confirmed evidence proved that claim. But internet narratives don't wait for proof anymore. Once a storyline catches fire emotionally, facts almost become secondary, and trust me, this storyline was on fire. Then things somehow became even messier after a fake insider account posted alleged private information claiming producers internally worried fans might recognize similarities between the records once Iceman released. Within minutes, screenshots spread across Twitter like wildfire. Some users believed it instantly, others called it obvious fake clout chasing. But the damage was already done. Now social media users were talking about panic inside Drake's camp, whether it was true or not. That perception alone became dangerous. Meanwhile, Rugrat's supporters were growing louder every single hour. Florida artists started subtly defending him online. Underground rappers reposted his livestream clips. Smaller producers began speaking publicly about major artists allegedly taking inspiration from lesser-known creators without giving proper credit. That conversation opened a completely different door. Now, this wasn't just about Drake anymore. Now people were debating the entire music industry system. Who really owns sounds? When does inspiration become exploitation? Do smaller artists actually have power when superstars allegedly take from them? And because hip-hop culture already has a deep history of authenticity debates, the controversy hit a nerve instantly. Then came the moment that really sent the internet into complete chaos. A side-by-side beat comparison video suddenly went viral on TikTok overnight. Millions of views, everywhere. The creators slowed both songs down, layered sections together, and highlighted certain melodic transitions that allegedly sounded connected. Dramatic captions flashed across the screen, saying things like, "He really thought nobody would notice? This is actually insane. Listen closely." Now, whether the beats were truly identical or not almost stopped mattering at that point. Because perception had already taken over reality, and emotionally, the internet had already chosen sides. Then major reaction streamers started covering the situation live. Some defended Drake aggressively, arguing that modern hip-hop production overlaps constantly and fans were reaching for another cancellation narrative after the Kendrick fallout. But others said the timeline made the situation look very suspicious, especially because Rugrat publicly claimed he specifically refused to give that exact beat away beforehand. That detail remained the heart of the controversy, the refusal. That's what emotionally hooked people. Because from an audience perspective, this no longer looked like accidental inspiration. The internet reframed it as he asked, got told no, then allegedly used it anyway. That narrative was devastating online. And then came the shocking reveal that pushed things into another dimension entirely. According to rumors exploding across industry pages, some people allegedly believed Drake's cryptic response was never actually aimed at Rugrat directly, but at the producers around him. That theory changed everything. Because now, social media users started wondering whether Drake himself even knew the full backstory before the album dropped. Think about how crazy that possibility is. What if producers heard Rugrat's music independently, reworked ideas internally, then passed records up the chain without Drake fully understanding the history behind them. That possibility split the internet instantly. Some Drake supporters grabbed onto that theory immediately because it protected Drake personally while shifting blame toward producers. But critics weren't buying it. They argued Drake is too experienced and too involved in music creation not to recognize when sounds come directly from artists his own team contacted previously. That debate became vicious online, especially after people started revisiting old accusations involving ghostwriters, collaborators, and reference tracks from previous eras of Drake's career. Suddenly, old controversies didn't feel old anymore. Now they felt connected. That's why this situation became so dangerous for Drake publicly. Not because one accusation alone could destroy his career, but because every controversy stacked on top of another controversy starts building a larger public narrative over time. And right now, the internet narrative was brutal. Then came another unexpected development. Fans noticed several reaction clips discussing the allegations mysteriously disappearing online hours after posting. Immediately, conspiracy theories exploded again. People started accusing labels of copyright striking videos to control the conversation. Others argued creators themselves deleted videos after backlash or legal fears. Nobody knew the truth. But once people think censorship is happening online, the controversy multiplies instantly. Now, hashtags accusing Drake's team of silencing discussions started trending too, absolute chaos. Meanwhile, Rugrat remained active online enough to keep fueling the story without fully over-explaining himself. And honestly, that strategy worked perfectly. Because every short emotional clip he posted spread instantly. Viewers believed his frustration looked genuine. Not rehearsed, not industry-polished, genuine. That authenticity became one of the strongest weapons against Drake in the public perception battle. Especially among younger hip-hop fans already skeptical of mainstream industry power structures. Then the Kendrick comparisons returned again. And this time, they hit harder. Critics online started saying, first Kendrick questioned his authenticity, now underground artists are questioning it too. That narrative spread rapidly across Twitter and TikTok. Memes exploded showing Drake trapped between old controversies and new accusations all at once. Some people even joked that Iceman accidentally reopened every unresolved criticism Drake spent years trying to outgrow. And the scary part? The more people repeated it, the more believable it started sounding publicly. That's how internet narratives work. Repetition becomes reality, especially when emotions are involved. Then came perhaps the most damaging moment yet. According to late-night live-stream rumors, some fans allegedly believed there could be legal paperwork or private communication proving Rugrat's refusal existed clearly in writing somewhere. No evidence surfaced publicly, but the mere possibility terrified social media. Because if actual written proof ever leaked showing Rugrat explicitly denying use of the beat beforehand, the entire situation could explode beyond internet drama permanently. That possibility hung over the controversy like a dark cloud. And through all of this, Drake still avoided giving a direct, detailed explanation. No live stream, no interview, no producer breakdown, no full denial, just cryptic messaging and silence. That silence was becoming louder than words. And the longer it continued, the more people started believing the story wasn't going away anytime soon. By the next morning, the entire hip-hop world was in chaos. Every major rap page on Instagram was posting about Drake and 1900Rugrat nonstop. You couldn't scroll TikTok for more than 30 seconds without hearing side-by-side beat comparisons or seeing creators arguing about whether Drake crossed the line. And the craziest part? The industry itself looked completely divided. Some artists and producers quietly defended Drake behind the scenes, saying people online were exaggerating normal creative overlap in modern rap production. According to insiders, several producers allegedly felt nervous because if fans started labeling every similar beat as stealing, half the industry could end up under attack. But on the other side, underground artists were furious. A lot of smaller rappers started reposting Rugrat's clips while sharing stories about major artists allegedly borrowing sounds, flows, aesthetics, or ideas without proper compensation or recognition. Suddenly, the conversation became much bigger than just Drake. Now people were talking about exploitation in hip-hop. One viral tweet reportedly said, "The industry only respects underground artists after they steal the wave first." That post exploded instantly. Thousands of reposts, millions of views, massive arguments underneath. And once that discussion started trending, More artists subtly entered the conversation without even saying Drake's name directly. One producer allegedly tweeted, "Independent creators know exactly how this game goes." Another wrote, "They love your sound until it's time to credit you." Fans immediately interpreted those posts as support for Rugrat. Meanwhile, Drake supporters fought back aggressively online. They argued the allegations were overblown and accused people of trying to create another anti-Drake movement after the Kendrick Lamar beef damaged his reputation publicly. That became a huge debate, because honestly, a lot of Drake fans believed critics were waiting for any reason to attack him again after the Kendrick situation. And once fan bases started fighting, the internet became unbearable. Comment sections turned into war zones. People were posting paragraphs, audio breakdowns, timeline screenshots, old interviews. Even casual listeners suddenly became music production experts overnight, trying to explain whether repitching a beat counts as theft or inspiration. Then major streamers and reaction creators jumped into the chaos. That's when the controversy reached another level. Because once giant streamers start reacting live, the story stops feeling niche and becomes mainstream internet entertainment. Clips from live stream debates started going viral everywhere. Some creators argued, Drake has too many people around him for this to happen accidentally. Others claimed, no superstar personally checks every production detail. But the most damaging reactions came from older hip-hop fans who started revisiting Drake's past controversies publicly. Suddenly people were reposting ghostwriting allegations, Quentin Miller discussions, XXXTentacion comparisons, the Weeksade songwriting reference tracks, old interviews questioning Drake's authenticity. The internet started stacking everything together into one giant narrative. That's dangerous for any celebrity, because one controversy can usually be survived. But when people start saying, this keeps happening, public perception changes fast. Then things got even more awkward for Drake after several music analysis YouTube channels uploaded technical breakdowns comparing the two records in detail. Some producers said the similarities felt suspicious. Others insisted the internet was reaching too hard. But honestly, at that point, facts almost stopped mattering. Emotion had taken over the conversation, and emotionally, people connected deeply with Rugrat's story. That's what made this situation so viral. The audience saw a young underdog, a self-made Florida artist, someone emotional and raw, someone claiming his biggest opportunity became betrayal. Meanwhile, Drake represented industry power, wealth, influence, major label machinery. Internet audiences almost always emotionally lean toward the underdog in situations like that, especially younger audiences. Then came the celebrity reactions. Now, no giant superstar fully jumped into the war publicly, but according to gossip blogs, several artists allegedly discussed the situation privately because many creators secretly fear the same thing happening to them. That rumor spread fast. People started wondering how many underground artists quietly feel exploited by bigger names but stay silent out of fear of industry backlash. And once that conversation started, the controversy stopped being just entertainment. Now it felt personal to a lot of independent musicians online. Then a shocking rumor surfaced late at night claiming some producers were allegedly becoming nervous about sending unreleased material to superstar camps entirely. That rumor exploded. People started tweeting things like, never send unreleased songs without paperwork, protect your files, everything documented from now on. The fear was becoming real. And meanwhile, every second Drake stayed vague publicly made things worse. Fans kept begging him to explain directly, but instead of clarity, people got cryptic posts and silence. That silence frustrated even some Drake supporters, because now they felt trapped defending a situation without enough information. Then the memes started. And honestly, that's when you know internet damage becomes dangerous. TikTok users started making skits about producers borrowing beats. Twitter memes showed Drake collecting sounds like Pokemon cards. Instagram pages reposted old clips of Drake supporting Rugrat with captions calling the situation the craziest betrayal in rap this year. The narrative was spiraling completely out of control. And perhaps the most brutal reaction of all came from casual listeners. Because even people who didn't fully believe Drake stole anything still admitted one thing. The situation looked bad. That perception alone became devastating publicly. Especially because Iceman was supposed to mark Drake's return to dominance after months of criticism following Kendrick's victory in public opinion. Instead, the rollout became attached to controversy almost immediately. And according to people close to the industry, Everyone was now waiting for the next move. Because if more receipts surfaced, if more screenshots leaked, or if Rugrat revealed additional communication publicly, this entire controversy could explode into something far bigger than either side expected. Just when the internet thought this situation had already reached maximum chaos, everything got even darker. Because according to late-night rumors spreading across hip-hop forums and industry pages, people allegedly close to the situation claimed 1900Rugrat may not have revealed everything yet. And that single rumor completely changed the mood online. Up until this point, most people believed the controversy centered around one beat, one song, and one alleged situation involving Lil Birdie on Drake's Iceman rollout. But now, fans started wondering whether there was more happening behind the scenes that the public still didn't know. That theory exploded fast. According to whispers flooding Discord servers and Twitter threads, some users believed Rugrat might allegedly have additional screenshots, voice notes, or communication connected to Drake's production circle that he intentionally hasn't released publicly yet. None of it was confirmed. But honestly, confirmation almost stopped mattering at this stage. The internet had already become addicted to the mystery. And the scariest part for Drake? People were starting to believe Rugrat. Not because hard proof had surfaced publicly, but because emotionally, his story felt authentic to viewers. That's dangerous, especially in hip-hop, because authenticity matters more than almost anything else in rap culture. Fans can forgive arrogance, they can forgive beef, they can forgive controversy. But once audiences start questioning authenticity, that becomes much harder to repair. And now the internet was asking brutal questions again. Did Drake knowingly use ideas connected to Rugrat after hearing unreleased material? Did producers move independently behind the scenes? Or is this entire situation one giant misunderstanding that exploded? Because social media loves destroying celebrities. Nobody knew anymore, but everyone had opinions. Then came the moment that really terrified Drake's supporters online. According to multiple viral posts, fans allegedly discovered that some streaming conversations around Lil Birdie had shifted dramatically after the accusations surfaced publicly. Instead of discussing lyrics, production quality, or Drake's comeback rollout, people were only talking about Rugrat. That's catastrophic for an album launch, especially one this important. Remember, Iceman wasn't supposed to be just another Drake project. This was supposed to be the statement album, the comeback, the proof that Drake could still dominate the culture after the massive public fallout from the Kendrick Lamar battle. Instead, one of the loudest conversations connected to the rollout became, did Drake steal from a 21-year-old underground artist? That narrative spread everywhere. And then things somehow got even worse. Because according to rumors circulating late online, some fans allegedly believed lawyers may already be quietly communicating behind the scenes. That possibility changed the energy immediately. Suddenly, this stopped feeling like internet gossip. Now people started discussing copyright claims, production ownership, publishing splits, settlement possibilities, retroactive credits, NDAs. The conversation became serious. And Drake's silence during all of this only intensified suspicion online. People kept waiting for a live stream, an interview, a direct denial producer clarification, but nothing came. Just silence. That silence became haunting, especially after one particular quote from Rugrat started going viral again across social media. "You asked for it." I said no. That sentence emotionally destroyed people online, because it simplified the entire controversy into something everybody understood immediately: permission, respect, boundaries. That's why the audience connected to it so strongly. Then came another shocking twist. Several fans started theorizing that Drake's cryptic influence versus theft response may actually have been carefully worded for legal reasons. That theory spread instantly. People argued Drake intentionally avoided directly discussing the producer contact, the alleged refusal timeline specifics, beat ownership. Instead, he responded broadly about artistic inspiration. Critics online claimed that strategy looked calculated. Supporters argued it was smart legal caution. But regardless of which side people believed, one thing became undeniable. Drake's response did not kill the controversy. It made it bigger. Now every reaction creator online was dissecting his wording like detectives analyzing evidence in a murder case. And perhaps the most chilling part of all, the younger generation of rap fans appeared heavily on Rugrat's side emotionally. That matters, because younger audiences shape internet narratives faster than anyone else now. And many of them already grew up during years of debates questioning Drake's authenticity, ghostwriting accusations, cultural borrowing discussions, and industry politics. So when Rugrat appeared emotional and direct while Drake appeared distant and cryptic, a lot of younger fans instinctively sided with the underdog. Then came the final rumor that pushed the internet into complete meltdown mode. According to whispers spreading across industry blogs, some people allegedly believed more artists could eventually come forward with similar stories involving unreleased music and major label interactions. No names surfaced publicly, no evidence appeared, but the possibility alone terrified social media. Because if one accusation already caused this much chaos, what happens if more artists start talking too? That possibility hung over Drake's entire rollout like a dark cloud. And through all of this chaos, confusion, backlash, theories, and non-stop online warfare, one thing remained unanswered. What actually happened behind the scenes after Drake's camp first contacted 1900Rugrat? Because until that question gets answered directly, this controversy is not dying anytime soon. In fact, according to the latest whispers online, the biggest revelation may still be coming. So what do y'all think really happened here? Did Drake genuinely get inspired by 1900Rugrat the same way artists inspire each other every day in hip-hop? Or did this situation cross a line completely? Because let's be honest, the internet is seriously divided right now. Some people believe Rugrat exposed a deeper industry problem where smaller artists get overlooked while major stars allegedly profit from underground creativity. Others think fans are reaching too hard and trying to turn normal musical influence into another anti-Drake controversy after everything that happened with Kendrick Lamar. But one thing nobody can deny, this story got way bigger than anybody expected. And the scariest part is we still might not know the full truth yet. Because if the rumors about additional screenshots, producer communication, unreleased material, or hidden receipts are actually real, this situation could explode all over again overnight. And y'all already know how fast the internet moves. One leaked message, one live stream, one producer speaking publicly, one surprise interview. That's all it takes for social media to completely lose its mind again. So now I need y'all to go crazy in the comments. Do you think Drake handled this situation badly? Do you think Rugrat is telling the full truth? Do y'all hear similarities between the songs, or do you think people are forcing the comparison? And most importantly, do you think this controversy damages Drake's reputation permanently after years of ghostwriting and authenticity debates? Because right now, people online are calling this one of the most uncomfortable moments of Drake's entire post-Kendrick era. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn notifications on because trust me, if Drake responds again, if more receipts leak, or if anybody else connected to this situation starts talking publicly, we are covering all of it immediately. And something tells me, this drama is nowhere close to finished.